So there are many possibilities that honestly you can't really phantom. And that's why I say it has never really been easy. And I really don't know when it's going to ever be easy. But then it all depends on the mind. It depends on what you see. It depends on what you aim for. It actually depends on yourself. You are the one who actually determines it. You can always have a fresh new look. So set your sights on the horizon, for it is where dreams meet the dawn of possibilities. Let me just give a brief history about myself. I read chemical engineering, and I'm currently an insurer. You'll be wondering, how did chemical engineering engineer became an insurer? But there has been, so fresh start really resonates a lot with me. And let me just give a brief, let me just quickly give a brief history. It just lets you know that you don't end. You don't end at any point in time. So in school, I went to Ife, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. And then in school, I actually had an extra semester in school. And in my extra semester, I was only doing 3 courses. I was used to doing between 9 and 11 courses, so I had a lot of time on my hand. So I just told myself, why waste this time I have? And I decided to go and learn how to make clothes right there on campus at Ife. So I went to the locals to learn how to actually sew. So I learned how to sew there. But by the time I was done with school, I served, and I got married immediately. Of course, I got married immediately. I was pregnant. Of course, nobody will employ me. I didn't even bother looking for a job, actually. So I just told myself, what should I do? I just quickly, and then I was in Lagos. Let me just go. I know how to sew. Let me go and enhance my skills. So, of course, with pregnancy, then I went to go and enhance my skills. I learned to sew better. I can sew as sweet as I am. I can do a lot of sewing. But then my son was less than 3 months. Then I got pregnant again. Then I said, okay, what will I do now? The money coming in from sewing is not enough for the family. I have one down. One is on the way. What else do I do? I have 1 room extra in my house. I started a crèche. Though when I have people around the area, they want to sew rambuba, I want to sew this, who wants to sew something cheap, then of course I still do it, but then I started a crèche. So it's just to let you know that there's no end. The fact that you get to a point, it doesn't mean there's an end there. I had my second child, and when she was about 6 months, I got a job in an insurance company. So I looked for somebody to manage the crèche for me. The crèche actually ran for several years, about 7 years actually. I was in charge for about, I think, about 1.5 years before I brought somebody on board to actually run it for me for several years, before we had reasons to use that space for something else that was more profitable. And then we went on with that. So I entered I started my work, and I count myself honestly lucky and favored to have great people around me who can give great advices. As soon as I started my job, I had somebody then who called me and told me, don't say you are an engineer. As you enter this profession, go and start the professional course. And I resumed then in February. The professional exams was in April. The first diet for the year was in April. So at the week I resumed, that was the closing week for registration. So I couldn't do that diet, but immediately I put in for the October diet. So another thing that also helped me, but that same organization also had another chemical engineer who was just starting his professional course, and he was already 5 years into the job. And so I realized that, and I remember what the person told me. He said, see, you might keep looking for other jobs, but go and start your professional course. If you get a job, then you go. But what if you don't get, and then you see yourself stuck with this insurance? And honestly, that was a great advice for me. In very few years, I was chartered, and, and that's where my progress started in the insurance industry. And today I look back, I'm really grateful to God. Really, really grateful. Within a short period, I became an executive director. Honestly, short compared to what my contemporaries will actually have. Despite I didn't start work immediately I left school, despite I still had children. So fresh start, honestly, when you say fresh start, don't ever tell yourself this is the end. Don't ever tell yourself this is the end. It all depends on you. I don't know where it has ever been easy. I don't know of anyone where it has ever been easy. And one of the things that also helped me, when I started, I don't know, I just had good people who advised me, honestly. People that I didn't know, actually. So when I started my job in the insurance company then, the way we do, that was in Cornerstone Insurance, we do induction table by table. So when I got to this woman's table that day, and she said, oh, let me advise you. Now I can see that you have 2 children. Don't use them as excuse to be leaving your job every day, every day, every day. See, the day they want to sack, it's those people that keep looking for excuses to leave the job that they will first remember. And that thing stuck to my head. Honestly, it stuck. And then, even when I had every excuse, as much as possible, I tried not to give excuses. I tried. And honestly, it really, really helped. And that's why, in whatever thing we are doing, especially when we run our own, either whether we run our business or we're in the professional line, never underestimate the part of great advices, surrounding yourself with great people that can give you great advices. I was standing here, it has really made a great help to me. We're talking about why a fresh start. Why do we need a fresh start? Or why must we actually always have a fresh start? We're talking about how do we identify new horizons. There will be challenges in transition. How do we overcome these challenges? So one of the quotes I have here is actually anonymous. It says, set your sight on the horizon, for it is where your dream meets the dawn of possibility. Set your sight on the horizon, for it is where your dreams meet the dawn of possibilities. Let me just quickly give another lifetime example here. Of course, when I started work, I had 2 young children, actually. And I started doing my professional exams at the same time. I don't know, honestly, right now, when I think and look back, sincerely, I do not know how it was done. I don't know how I did it. Because the way I did then we have lectures after work. I was working on the island, not VI, it was Obalinde. So after work, I go get lectures, I get home, I still check assignments, then we still get ready for the next day, we put all the clothes out, then I sleep, then I wake up, then I read, then I sleep back, then I wake up, then we now start cooking morning and afternoon food before going to drop the children. So I'm like, how? Honestly, now I'm asking myself, how was I actually able to get that done? So there are many possibilities that, honestly, you can't really phantom. And that's why I say it has never really been easy. And I really don't know when it's going to ever be easy. But then it all depends on the mind. It depends on what you see. It depends on what you aim for. It actually depends on yourself. You are the one who actually determines it. You can always have a fresh new look. So set your sights on the horizon, for it is where dreams meet the dawn of possibilities. So why fresh start? The first point I have here says change in global and national economics. Of course, we all know what oil is saying now. People are trying to move away from crude. We are now beginning to talk about electric cars. Things are changing. What is it the increasing cost of living we should talk about? We all know it and we all have felt it. And then you begin to realize that the money you had last... I remember somebody that was going to go and remove an AC for me last year. And then the guy said he was going to charge 5,000 per AC, meaning he was going to remove 2 ACs. That was at 10,000. Honestly, it sounded ridiculous to me last year. sincerely. I'm like, no, how can I use that much money to? This year, I had to do something similar. And I'm like, why did I feel 10,000 was ridiculous last year? It only tells you how much it has. So now you see what 10,000 can do now. And like, it's almost, in quotes, nothing compared to what it could have done last year. Like, you felt that, this is what I could have used 10,000 to do last year. And then, that's to tell you how much our cost of living has increased, that we don't even see the money as big again. It's like, that was a small money. And so, those are reasons why you must actually explore a fresh start. So why fresh start? We are still talking global and economic reasons. Taxes, we are talking about taxes increasing. Now we are looking at even for digital earners. That's our locally for us. Now, customer preferences are changing. Thank God for COVID. COVID brought good and it brought bad. Honestly, more of good for us. Now we see this dispatch business has increased seriously. It was COVID that made us realize that we could buy tomatoes from the comfort of our homes. Most people would traditionally still go to the market on a Saturday to go and buy tomatoes. Those platforms were existing before COVID, actually. But COVID brought it out the more. So you can sit in the comfort of your home and buy fish. You can sit in the comfort of your homes. So what happened? Customer preferences change. And Uber will now tell you that even if you are not moving about, I can deliver your goods for you. Uber didn't used to do delivery of packages before COVID. So preferences are changing. So people desired something in the past, now it's different. So if you are not ready to move in that climb, honestly, you'll be losing out. See how much dispatch costs now. You can buy any item, dispatch will bring it to you wherever you are. And then businesses have to think actually out of the box to see what can be done. Now, why a fresh start, actually? Adaptability and innovation. Now, why fresh start? Thinking globalization and borderless. We will be looking at, the truth is, our export has actually increased in Nigeria. Maybe when you talk about in Naira terms, maybe oil, you might not be able to compare that with oil, but export has generally increased. Do you believe that, I don't know if you have been to any location where export is done of recent, you'll be shocked at how much people are exporting. And the jackpot thing that happened really improved exports. People export palm oil, not to go and sell. Specifically, people over there say, give me oil, give me. People make soup and export. I have somebody in my church that does it for people. She will cook soup. People request for fresh ugu leaf. People export ugu leaf. That's to tell you, globalization, exports, the head must be working. It must be working all of the time. There are so much things out there. So these are just reasons for fresh start. So many things are happening. Even Gary, not because you want to go and sell it over there. It's not as if you are explaining to those who are making requests. So those things exist. Now, why should we also have a fresh start? We need it for our mental and emotional renewal. It is essential. Sometimes you've been in a place quite long, you just feel, I need to change the way I feel. I need to change so it is needed sometimes just for our emotional renewal, our mental renewal, to re-energize ourselves. Sometimes it helps to actually give us assurance that, I think I'm still doing well. Okay, so let's quickly look at the case study. Guinness Nigerian PLC. For a very long time, actually, in the market, before the 1910s, Guinness has been leading the market, actually, in beer. But then, around early 2010s, they began to face serious, significant challenges. Locals were coming up with great products, and the competition was really increasing for them. Now, what did they look at? Customers' preferences were changing. Economic difficulties was in place. Customers were beginning to look at costs. And they're really mindful of that. And how did they respond? Looking at how Guinness respond, you'll be so shocked. They had to come out with a product called Origin. Now, what did that product do? They decided, number one, they had to reduce costs. So they source most of what they use for Origin locally. They also make sure it had more of African herbs, which actually appeal to people's emotions, appeal to, culturally, it's our own. And that really improved their output. It improved their sales. Now they realized that, this was well accommodated. They decided to go for the one that is non-alcoholic, but that is actually alcoholic. They decided to do Origin Zero. So you begin to see how companies react to situations. So it must not be, this is the way we have been doing, this is the way it must be. They had reasons to actually think outside the box. They looked at cost efficiency, they had to source locally. And that actually really impacted on their cost of production, which actually became reduced, and they were able to actually sell. So, remember, part of their issue actually was spending, as in the cost. And so they had to source locally and make sure this was done. This was what actually, that's a case study on Guinness. Another quote I would like to also mention by Seneca is, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. As in every new beginning, it comes from some other beginning's end. Something that began is coming to an end, then a new has to start. So every new beginning actually comes from the end of a previous beginning. And that's what we must always know. So let's look at cross-industry collaboration for sustainability growth, for sustainable growth. Now, one of the things we must not forget is sometimes we need to bring people together, collaboration. Even if big organizations are able to bring people together to actually make more progress, why shouldn't we? Now, it's not like if we feel that we are okay and we can run our things ourselves, but where you need collaboration, you have strength in this, I have strength in this. Why can't we come together, put our strengths together, and really make a difference? So we'll be looking at examples of organizations that actually did cross-industry collaborations for sustainable growth. And then now, why do we really need this? Now, we should never underestimate collaboration. So the first thing is to harness complementary strengths. We'll be looking at some case study. We're looking at Apple and Nike. Apple and Nike came together to actually launch wearable technology. That's where we had all these smartwatches. That was in 2016. Now, Nike was known for more or less keeping fit, training, but Apple had technology. So why not put that? You have this expertise with, okay, I want to watch my weight, I want to check my heart rate, I want to do this. I have technology. And then they came together and they brought about the smartwatches. That was in 2016. We have Starbucks and PepsiCo. PepsiCo are used to doing things in cans, drinks in cans. That's what they do. But then Starbucks, we know them for coffee, beverages. And then what did they come together to do? They decided to put beverages in cans. They both brought their different strengths to the table. So we must always be ready to allow ourselves to complement strength by harnessing them. So harnessing complementary strength. So cross-industry collaborations enables companies to blend their distinct advantages, such as technology and distribution channels. So bringing things together. Now, another point why we should honestly look at collaborations for a sustainable growth is entering new markets and expanding customer reach. So we have sometimes, okay, so let me give a good example now. My current organization, Prudential Zenith. Prudential is 175 years in the world. They have 175 years in life insurance. But when they were coming to Nigeria, they sourced locally for an existing company. that they could do a joint venture with, which is Zenith Bank, Zenith Insurance. Now, they might have strength in life insurance, but they don't know the local market. So why not come together to join strength? So those are examples of entering new markets. Some people already have the customer base. Why start from scratch? So why actually start from scratch? If actually you have somebody who has been into it, that have their expertise in different things, so you have your expertise. Most time, collaboration makes things to progress faster. When we have a fresh thing coming up, a fresh start, collaboration actually enhances and make it move faster. Also for strategic long-term growth. If you are looking at a long-term growth, you just don't want something that is 2 years, 5 years. Something that will last longer. Please, as much as possible, when you have people that can collaborate with you, please don't underestimate it. Don't underestimate it at all. Thank you. So now, another point we'll be looking at is the adjacent innovation. So you probably own a business or what you currently do, but then you are looking at what more can I do? A good example is still Apple. Apple started with computers before they felt that, okay, what other similar thing can I do in this line of my expertise? What more can I add to it? Before they then went to iPods. That later on, they now had iPhones. They were just into computers before. Just computers, the basic things that we know, and all of that. But then all of those things added up. The same way when we learn localize this. For example, somebody who is into leather works, you're probably into a leather bag business. Why can't you consider doing leather shoes? So those are what we call actually things adjacent innovations. That you already have a platform, you have an expertise in that area. Why don't you widen your horizons and see what more can I actually add to it and improve myself better? But we have benefits of adjacent innovation. So expanding existing capabilities, which is what I just explained. It allows business to employ new opportunities at reduced risks because you have some expertise in that line. All you need to do was just to say, okay, what more can I do? In this same, I already have the technology, I have the expertise. It's just a little more add-on you can have to actually push that forward. So do you want to do product line extension? Or do you want to just do incremental innovations? Okay, as we go ahead, when new things come, we begin to push it and move ahead. So as I mentioned earlier, as regards our adjacent innovation, Apple actually moved from computers to consumer electronics. They started actually with computers like the Macintosh, and then they expanded by launching iPod, after which they went into the smartphone market, and then we now have the iPhones. Another example of adjacent innovation is a Lego. Lego was just into children toys. They started with toys, building blocks. So all the toys, you could just do video, and they're like, okay, let's add technology to this. And then before you know what's happening, they've built a digital gaming platform. They did media, creating video games, and all of that. The same thing with Amazon. Amazon started as an online bookstore. They wanted to make reading easier. They had a Kindle and all of that, and all of those. And afterward, they felt we already have a technology for online. We have the digital capabilities in place. Why can't we just go into cloud computing platforms? And then they created the Amazon Web Services. So sometimes we just need to think, looking at the resources that we have on ground, how else can I optimize it? Maybe it's just something little you just need to add, that's to get you to a bigger place. So we just need to think, look at our expertise, look at what we have on ground, look at what we have existing for us, and then what we might need to add to that might just be something little or even negligible to take us to the next phase. As we saw with Amazon, they started, even though Amazon Web Services was not retail that they started with, but then they just did something little. They had the online platform already. They had the customer base already. They had the name already. So they just needed little to add on to that. Okay, so let's just do some pausing here and discuss. So how do you think the concept applies to your business? Those are some of the things we need to look at. How does this apply to you? What expertise do you have? What more can you add to your line of expertise? What more can you add to it? For example, are you an insurance marketer? I'm just, for example, can you also market pensions and also earn your commission in that line? Just as in, what more can you add to your line of business? So we should just pause and think, what more, what expertise do I have? What facility do I have on ground? Are you sure that you are fully utilizing what you have? Are you sure you are making the best of it? Are you sure you cannot just do more and get it better? Now, what similar market or product can we conveniently play in? So looking at the circular economy as a competitive advantage, so when we talk about the circular economy, we are looking at reusing things, regeneration of materials or products. As much as possible, in whatever climate we have, whatever field we find ourselves, one of the goals we should have is to, as much as possible, minimize waste. So I give you an example. In a proper mechanized farming now, in a properly mechanized farm, honestly, the waste is either minimal or negligible. And how does that work? So on a proper farm, where you have poultries, you have livestock, the poo from the chicken actually feeds the pigs. The poo from the pigs serves as manure for your farmland and nutrient for the floor, for the soil. So we should actually look at competitive advantages in the circular economy. What can we reuse? What can we recycle? What can we regenerate? How much can we minimize waste? As much as possible. For example, maybe in your business you use a generator of, for argument's sake, 30 kVA. And all that 30 kVA is powering is less than 10 kVA. There's waste. So what more can you add to it that once you on that generator, for argument's sake, let's just say maybe it's a business that you have the time and then you want to go into ice block making business. Why waste my 20 kVA that's going to eat your fuel? Why not just add that beside it? It has not stopped you from focusing on what you are doing, but make the best. Waste. Let's minimize waste as much as possible. So when it comes to competitive advantage, that is the way it is. As much as possible, there should be minimal wastage, very minimal wastage. So for us to adapt to the circular economy, our number one priority was minimal wastage, minimal waste. Because the circular economy focuses on reducing waste through reuse, recycling, remanufacturing that leads to lower material costs, and of course, less reliance on raw material extraction. Design for longevity. Whatever thing we are designing, please don't design things that just for now, let's just do it for now. Let's look at the long run. Look at the long run. Is it sustainable? What more can I do to sustain it? So let's design for longevity. Is it part of adapting to the circular economy? Can we monetize waste? I give a good example. In the markets now, some women, when they buy fish, they ask them to cut off the head in the market. Most women, I don't know if it's most, at least, many people don't eat fish head. But guess what? The women that sells those fish resell those heads to dog owners. People like us that are dog owners, we go and buy fish head from them. They have sold their fish at the normal price, but they are still making money from that fish waste that some people don't want. So as much as possible, let's monetize waste. And we see that happening this day now. You see people picking rubber cans all around. We use it, we throw them away. Some people go and pick it and they make money from it. The cartons that you don't need, you throw away. Some people go and pick those cartons and make money from it. So you can monetize your waste. So look at what you do. These are the waste I get. How can I monetize it? That is the circular economy. How do I actually get to monetize those waste? Those are things that we need to look at. Supply chain resilience. In fact, not even these days that petrol has gone high, we must be, our logistics must be, we must make sure we really make it optimal. Must be well calculated. You have a customer to deliver to in Lekki. Maybe someone said, come Saturday, and now one said, come Sunday. Like, Meanwhile, the truck, whatever truck or car or bag that's going to go and deliver it, we still have space. Look for how to get either more customers on same day, or let them know that, please, I can only deliver on Saturday. Please, who can I give it to you on Sunday? As much as possible, your supply chain, these are ways to actually bring down your costs. At some point in time, you must actually look for how we can put all of this in whatever thing we do, whether professional-wise or whether entrepreneur, whether business-wise. You must actually look at our supply chain. How can we make the best of our transportation costs? How can we bring it down? Logistics. One of the things that, honestly, Dangote group of companies have done well is to try and locate their market where their logistics, raw material, manufacturing, and everything will be in a particular local area whereby the cost on logistics is drastically reduced. And that's why some of their products can come cheap as much as possible. So even for us ourselves, we must actually look at such kind of things for our businesses. How much really can we optimize our processes? So digital transformation beyond technologies, we are still talking about fresh starts. So how can we incorporate digital technology in whatever thing we do? The first thing is shifting of mindset. Many times we say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is how we have been doing it, and it has been okay for us. But in this age of digital technology and shifts, for us to really adapt well to the economy, which is still adapting well to the circular economy, there's need to actually reset. Many times we need to just reset. And they just need to check it out. What do we need to change? Are there structures that we need to change? Are there duplications? Do we need to get different set of approvals? Then we come back and get those approvals again at different levels. There's need to do a mindset shift, a reset. Now, data. We must also make use of our data use must be strategic. In fact, we should not underestimate the use of data at all. See, data, honestly, will drive strategic decisions, improve efficiencies. Now, you probably have a set of customers. They maybe live in different locations and they have different needs. Those data can help you make more customized. So if somebody says that a customer don't always know what they want. So sometimes it is based on data you have, your experience, the trends that you have seen, that you can make suggestions to them. That why don't you go this way? Based on this trend, why don't you move this way? So we must make the best use of our data. You might think we don't have data. Just go back and check your books. What can I deduce from this? What can I deduce from what I've been doing over time? And if we are looking at progressing, what data can I make use? So we must honestly know the value. We must place great value on data. Process optimization. I've mentioned it sometimes along the line. We must really look at how well can digitalization help my processes. What can I do end to end? So I don't want to go too technical. For me, actually, in my career, I've done a lot of optimization for processes, automations, end to end, and drastically, these things have reduced our turnaround times drastically. Never just underestimate actually how this can come to place. Process optimization. Please, as much as possible, let's optimize digital knowledge in all that we do. Then the last point for me under this lesson is actually lean and agile operations. Generally, it helps to improve efficiencies operational wise. So what's the impact of diversity in taking new frontiers? As in, what's the impact of diversity? You must actually look at diversity and inclusion. Many times, not many times, honestly, we don't know all. And you'll be surprised at how much somebody just passing by, how much a cleaner, how much a security guy can suggest and make a difference in your business. You'll be surprised how much impact just a somebody walking by can just make a suggestion. So when you are thinking of an idea, please, to a great extent, please share. Share with people that you feel that can bring in ideas, can say something. Diversity, as in people that are even very different from you. Share with those that are like you. Share with people that are different from you that can think or can see what you have not seen and can really tell you what they want. So please, diversity, inclusion in starting afresh must not be underestimated. These are some of the things that culture, creating a positive culture where people can talk freely, a culture whereby people can come with suggestions that, sir, ma, why don't you look at this? Please, let's create an environment like that can actually help. It helps with diversity and all that. And also, as much as possible, when we are actually looking at a fresh start, let's avoid bias. Avoid bias as much as possible. You never can tell where that stupid idea will come and it will become a great one. We see the examples of Steve Jobs. Many other examples that we have seen. It initially seemed very foolish and like, who would do that? No, please go and sit down. And see how much they sell their products today, and people are still buying. People are still buying. So resilience in all of this is key. We must always know that resilience is key in all that we do. Resilience and adaptability. How well can we adapt to new beginnings? How well can we adapt to new ideas? How well can we stay on and be resilient in whatever thing that we are looking at? And then the last point we'll be talking about is overcoming challenges in the transition. Our time is fast spent, actually. So challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. That's what Joshua Marine said. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming those challenges, overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So we want to have a meaningful life. Then we must be ready to overcome those challenges. Yes, challenges can make it interesting. But overcoming them is what actually makes life meaningful. Now, why must you overcome challenge? Statistics have shown that 70% of SMEs in Nigeria actually fail within 3 to 5 years. But we still have a 30%. There's a 30% that survive. And so one of the reasons we are here is actually to learn and help ourselves to be among that 30% that survive. Yes, we know majority will fail and fall off. But we should not have the mindset that we'll be among that 70. We must keep learning new things so that we can be among that 30%. So just some tips to consider. Funding challenges. Funding can be a challenge in a business. And there are many processes. In funding, we have what we call grants. You can get grants. We can get angel investors. You can do venture capital. You can do crowdfunding. Bootstrapping is when you want to bear your expenses yourself, as in you are the owner, maybe you have the fund, you can put it aside. It's okay, I can fund my business myself. Good. And strong business plan. So these are just things along the way. These are things to consider in order for us to be among that 30% that survive. Building a network is another point. The first point I mentioned here is funding. The second point is building a network, which we had actually explained earlier, collaborations. Collaborations. Please don't underestimate it. Mentors. People that can advise you. People that have gone the road. You might not be in the same line, but speak to people. People that have done a business that you want to enter. Why don't you go and speak to them? They might tell you things you don't want to hear. But pick the positive. What made them feel? What made them go out? How can you improve on what made them feel? So, it is very, very important. Potential collaborators, Build your network. Build mentors that can give you great advices around you. Now, scaling challenges. So develop a scalable business model and invest in processes. We mentioned that earlier, process optimization. Let's create structures so that it's not like I'm not there, they cannot run. Let's create structures. So whether we are there, we are not there, you might have a reason for an emergency to travel out of state. So if you travel out of state, what happens to your business and your customers? You stand still. Let's create structures. Let's create sustainable businesses, scalable ones. Competition, you must keep an eye also on competition. What is competition doing? What are we doing? And most time it's good to make ourselves our own competitors. How can I compete against myself? How can I do better than what I have been offering? Aside from what my other external competitors are doing, well, how can I improve my process? If I'm the customer today, will I continue to patronize myself? Do I have any other need aside from what I'm doing as a customer for myself that I feel that if I can get this delivery for myself, why don't I add it to my business? So customer acquisition, please, a good marketing plan is needed there. For customer acquisition, it's always good to have a comprehensive marketing plan. It's good to leverage digital technology, have your social media, build strong online presence. Customer feedback, please don't take feedback for granted. Never take feedback for granted. Thank you. So in closing, I'll just finish by saying that it had not seen the visible results of effort right away. It's hard if you are not seeing the visible result of your effort. But you must continue to trust the process and trust yourself. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Ma. I have learned a lot. We've learned a lot. I've learned about being my competition. So I've learned that I should ask people questions about what I do. And funny thing is, this is not only about a business, even your own personal evaluation. I think it's quite crucial as well that you get to know what your colleagues think about you at the office. Let me give you an example. There is this lady in my office that she makes mistakes a lot. So whenever anybody mentions her name, the next thing people say is, "Oh, the lady that makes mistakes a lot." That's the perception people have built about her. So what are people's perception about you or what you do? I think it's quite crucial.